In the parched village of Maua, the wind did not just sweep dust across the cracked earth, it carried voices, dreams, and the silent burdens of its people. Maua was a place where hope was often trampled underfoot like fallen millet husks, yet somehow, one woman still dared to dream. Aisha sat by the doorway of her modest hut, weaving baskets with fingers hardened by years of labor. The sun blistered her skin, but she worked, her hands moving with quiet rhythm. Her eyes often drifted to her husband, Musa, who lounged under the baobab tree, staring at the distant sky as though waiting for fortune to rain down upon him. "Musa," Aisha called softly, brushing sweat from her brow. "Did you speak to the merchant about work today?" Musa sighed, waving his hand lazily. "Tomorrow, Aisha." The merchant was away. Tomorrow is always another day. Her heart ached at his words. Tomorrow. Always tomorrow. It was his favorite promise, yet tomorrow never seemed to bring the change they needed. Their children, Safi and Jabir, played nearby, their laughter piercing the heavy silence. Their joy was Aisha's anchor, even as her heart sagged beneath the weight of their poverty. When night descended, and the village became a mosaic of flickering lanterns, Aisha sat with Musa over a meager meal of porridge. "We can't keep living like this," she whispered, careful not to let the children hear. "The debts, the whispers, they're growing louder." Musa leaned back, his face etched with frustration. "You think I don't hear them? The men, the neighbors, they think I'm a failure. I don't care what they think. I care about us. About our children." His jaw clenched, and for a moment, his pride stood taller than his love. "I will fix this, Aisha. I just need time. And if time runs out..." His silence answered her. In Maua, hope was a fragile thing. But Aisha held onto it as tightly as she held her children, even when her husband's promises began to crumble like the dry earth beneath their feet. One sweltering afternoon, as Aisha peddled her baskets in the market, a commotion stirred by the well. News traveled fast in Maua, especially when carried on the breath of strangers. A city recruiter, wearing polished shoes that gleamed unnaturally in the dusty village, announced, "Zunda is hiring. Laborers, drivers, factory workers. The city needs strong men." The villagers buzzed like stirred bees. For many, Zunda was a city of possibilities, a place where poverty could be traded for prosperity. When Musa heard, his eyes lit up with a fire Aisha hadn't seen in years. "This is it, Aisha. This is our chance." Her heart thudded with cautious hope. "You really believe this will change things?" "I know it will." His hands trembled as he packed the few belongings he would carry. "I'll send money every month. You'll see. I will build us a better life." They spent that night awake, whispering under the pale moon. Aisha's fingers brushed through his hair, memorizing the contours of the man she loved. "Promise me," she said, her voice quivering, "promise you won't forget us." He cupped her face, pressing his forehead to hers. "Never." When the morning came, and the bus rumbled away in a cloud of dust, Aisha clutched the children's hands tightly. "Your father is going to build our tomorrow," she told them, though her chest felt hollow. And so, with hope and fear tangled in her heart, Aisha began to count the days. Zunda overwhelmed Musa the moment he arrived. The city pulsed like a living beast, honking cars, shouting vendors, the metallic screech of machinery. Opportunity buzzed in the air, but so did temptation. At first, Musa kept his promise. Every month, an envelope arrived, thick with city-earned cash. Aisha would hold it against her chest, tears streaking her face as she thanked the heavens. His letters spoke of hard work, long shifts, and determination. "Tell the children I love them. Soon, I will bring you all to Zunda." But as weeks stretched into months, something changed. Musa crossed paths with Zara. She was unlike anyone he had ever known. Her tailored suits shimmered like the city's skyline. She laughed like she owned the streets. She noticed Musa's hunger, not for food, but for recognition, power, escape. "You have potential," she purred over coffee at a sleek cafe. "But potential dies in the shadows. You could rise, Musa. I can help you." Her attention was intoxicating. She praised him, introduced him to influential people, whispered about grander possibilities. She made him feel seen. He convinced himself he was networking for the family. But his letters to Aisha grew sparse. The envelopes grew thin. One evening, as he dined with Zara in a luxurious restaurant, his phone buzzed. It was Aisha. He let it ring. And ring. And ring. Zara's voice cut through his hesitation. Musa, your past is an anchor. Cut it loose. And so, the city embraced him, not as a savior, but as a trap draped in gold. Zara was strategic. She showered Musa with gifts, a new suit, expensive cologne, a silver watch he admired from afar. Zunda respects only those who shine, she told him as she draped a designer jacket over his shoulders. Let me make you shine. Musa began working under her, learning the rhythms of city commerce, navigating contracts, forging alliances. He reveled in the power, in the illusion that he had finally arrived. But Zara's affection was conditional. She tightened her grip subtly. Your wife, what's her name? Aisha. She wouldn't understand this life, Musa. She would hold you back. I'm doing this for her. For our children. Are you? She leaned in, her perfume sweet and sharp. Or are you doing this for you? Her words gnawed at him. Letters from Aisha piled up on his desk, unopened. One night, guilt clawed at his throat. He poured it onto paper. Aisha, I have built a new life here. I've changed. I can't come back. I'm sorry. But the letter never made it to the post. He folded it, shoved it into a drawer, and locked it away. He told himself that Aisha would be fine. She was always strong. Always waiting. But he no longer wanted to be the man she waited for. Back in Maua, Aisha's smiles grew strained. The money stopped. The letters ceased. Neighbors began to whisper. Musa has forgotten them. She's been abandoned. One afternoon, as Aisha fetched water, she overheard two women by the well. Poor Aisha, one sighed. Waiting for a ghost. Maybe he's found someone else, the other added, not even bothering to lower her voice. Aisha's grip on the water pot tightened, but she walked past them with dignity. At night, she sat beneath the same baobab tree where Musa once dreamed aloud. She whispered to the wind, Musa, where are you? Her children noticed the change. Sophie asked one evening, Mama, did Baba forget us? No, my love. She kissed her daughter's forehead. Sometimes, people get lost. But we can't wait to be found. We must keep walking. She began to write letters, each one more desperate than the last. Musa, please. The children miss you. The debts are crushing us. Come home. But there were no replies. Only silence. The village began to pity her. Aisha despised pity. One market day, as she sold her baskets, a merchant asked cruelly, Still waiting for your prince from the city? She met his gaze, her voice steady. I am not waiting. I am building. But as she turned away, the weight of Musa's absence nearly crushed her. Each night, she would trace the lines of his old letters, the ink smudged from her tears. Until one day, she folded them all away and whispered to herself, Enough! Her heart, though cracked, did not shatter. It hardened into something stronger. In the quiet of her hut, as her children slept, Aisha began to dream, not of Musa's return, but of her own rise. The letter sat untouched in Musa's desk drawer, its folded edges softening with time. Aisha, I have built a new life here. I've changed. I can't come back. I'm sorry. His hand had trembled as he wrote it, but the words had felt distant, hollow, as though another man had written them. He couldn't bring himself to send it. Instead, Musa slipped further into the gilded world Zara had crafted for him. His days were spent in high-rise offices, his nights, in places where neon lights washed away the shadows of guilt. Zara, ever perceptive, noticed his silent war. Why haven't you sent it? She asked one evening, swirling a glass of wine. Musa hesitated. What good would it do? It will free you. She leaned in, her voice like silk. Let her go, Musa. She belongs to the past. Your future is here, with me. But deep down, Musa knew that erasing Aisha was not so simple. Her face lingered at the edges of his mind, her laughter, her quiet resilience. Still, he chose silence. He chose the glittering lie over the dusty truth. In Maua, silence had its own weight. When letters and money stopped coming, the whispers grew louder, like an unrelenting drumbeat. She's been abandoned. Her husband has found another. She's the woman left behind. The words sliced through Aisha each time she ventured into the market. She would hear them while selecting cassava, while selling her baskets, while fetching water at dawn. One morning, the village elder's wife, Mama Dahlia, approached her stall, arms crossed. "You are still clinging to his name?" Mama Dahlia asked bluntly. "You shame yourself by waiting." Aisha's voice was steady, but her knuckles whitened as she tightened her grip on the basket she was weaving. A wife does not give up on her family so easily. And what has waiting brought you? Pity? Debt? Or has it simply broken your pride? Aisha paused, then quietly responded, "I have not broken. And I will not break." But even as she said it, she knew something had to change. The village would not wait for her to crumble. They wanted to see her fall. That realization ignited something inside her. She would not live waiting for a man who had chosen silence. It was during one of her darkest afternoons that Aisha found herself wandering to the edge of the village where Mama Amina lived, a widow known for her sharp tongue and sharper wisdom. Mama Amina sat under her mango tree, sorting through millet grains with deliberate care. When she saw Aisha, she simply gestured to an empty stool. "You are tired of waiting," Mama Amina said, as though reading Aisha's soul. "Yes." Aisha's voice cracked under the weight of her confession. Mama Amina chuckled softly. "Men who forget their families often believe their absence will destroy us. But we are not ruins, Aisha. We are seeds." Aisha blinked. "Seeds." Mama Amina held up a handful of millet. "These tiny grains hold power, child. When crushed, when buried, they grow. But only if the woman who plants them believes she can feed a village." Aisha stared at the grains, her pulse quickening. "But I have nothing left. You have fire. You have your hands. You have your name. That is enough." From the folds of her cloth bag, Mama Amina drew out a carefully written recipe, a recipe for a unique, spiced millet bread, passed down from generations of resilient women. "It is not much," Mama Amina said, pressing the paper into Aisha's trembling hands. "But it could be the beginning of something. Or the end of your waiting." Aisha clutched the recipe as though it were a key. "Thank you." Mama Amina's eyes sparkled. "Do not thank me. Thank yourself when you rise." The next morning, she traded her last basket for a small bag of millet. Her fingers, once used to weaving reeds, now kneaded dough. Her kitchen filled with the unfamiliar scent of roasted millet and honey, and for the first time in months, her home felt alive. Her children, Safi and Jabir, watched with wide eyes as their mother transformed their tiny hearth into a bakery. "Can we taste it, Mama?" Jabir asked eagerly. "Not yet," Aisha smiled, sweat beading on her forehead. "First, we sell. If we can sell one loaf, we can buy more millet. If we can buy more millet, we can bake again." "But what if they don't buy it?" Safi whispered. Aisha paused, kneeling before her daughter. "Then we try again. And again. Until they do." On market day, Aisha carried her bread to the village square, a small table, a basket of loaves, and a heart pulsing with fear. The first few villagers passed by without a glance. Her throat tightened. Then a young boy, barely older than Jabir, stopped, nose twitching. "What's that smell?" "Millet bread," Aisha said, her voice catching. He sniffed, his eyes lighting up. "Can I have a taste?" She broke off a small piece and handed it to him. His eyes widened as the flavors danced on his tongue. He darted off, calling for his mother. Within an hour, her basket was empty. Within a week, villagers were asking for more. Within a month, people from neighboring villages came seeking Aisha's millet bread. The seed had sprouted. Aisha's tiny kitchen could no longer contain her ambition. Each morning before sunrise, she mixed flour, honey, spices, and roasted millet, the scent trailing from her hut to the village square. Her hands were raw from kneading, her feet sore from standing, but her heart was alive. She began hiring young girls from the village to help. Girls who had once whispered about her now worked by her side, learning to bake, learning to build. One day, Mama Dahlia returned to her stall, this time not with scorn, but with curiosity. "Your bread has reached Banora. Merchants speak of it in the city." Aisha's brow lifted. "Let them speak. You should teach others, expand your ovens. Build something bigger than Maua." "I am building." Aisha smiled softly. "One loaf at a time." As her business flourished, the whispers that once sought to bury her now celebrated her. The children called her the Millet Queen, their voices bright with admiration. One evening, while watching her children sleep, Aisha whispered to the wind, "Musa, wherever you are, I am no longer waiting. I am walking." The wind no longer carried the weight of his absence. It carried the scent of her success. Detailed emotional highlights and dialogue recap. Aisha's transformation. From waiting to building. "I have not broken. And I will not break. I am not waiting. I am walking." Mama Amina's wisdom. Men who forget their families often believe their absence will destroy us. But we are not ruins. We are seeds. Mother-child bond. Sophie, but what if they don't buy it? Aisha, then we try again. And again. Until they do. Community redemption. Mama Dahlia, your bread has reached Banora. Aisha, let them speak. Scene visuals. Markets bustling with life as Aisha's reputation grows. Warm hearth fires symbolizing her newfound purpose. The humble millet grain recurring as a motif for growth and resilience. The market square of Maua, once a place of cold stares and cruel whispers, now echoed with the warm calls of loyal customers. "Is the Millet Queen here today? I need 5 loaves. My children won't eat anyone else's bread." Aisha could barely keep up with the orders. Her small stall, once overlooked, now sat at the center of a daily crowd. Her bread, soft yet hearty, laced with spices and a secret honey glaze, had captured the hearts of the villagers. One afternoon, Kofi, the merchant from Banora, approached her stall. "I've heard the whispers," he said, smiling, "and I've tasted the bread. My hotel guests would love this." Aisha's heart fluttered. "You mean, you want to buy from me?" "Not just buy. I want to place a large standing order. I need 200 loaves next month. Can you manage?" She hesitated, her mind racing. 200 loaves? Could she really do it? Then she remembered Mama Amina's words, "We are not ruins. We are seeds." Aisha straightened her shoulders. "Yes, I can." When she returned home that evening, her children ran to her. "Mama, why are you smiling like that?" Sophie asked. Aisha scooped her daughter into her arms. "Because today, we are not just surviving. We are growing." The same mouths that once whispered her downfall now sang her praises. In the village square, a woman boasted, "Aisha's bread cured my son's stomach ache. Nothing else settled him." Another chimed in, "Her millet bread is a blessing. I heard she's sending it to the city now." Even the village chief, who had once ignored her, now approached her stall with deference. "Your work brings pride to Maua. I hear Banora speaks your name." But Aisha did not let the applause cloud her vision. She continued to work with quiet determination, waking before dawn, perfecting her recipes, training young women from the village. Her bakery expanded from a single table to a larger wooden stall, then to a small building with 2 clay ovens and a storage room. One morning, Mama Amina visited her. "You've done well, child," Mama Amina said, sipping spiced tea. "The village no longer pities you. They now envy your strength." Aisha smiled, folding her hands. "I did not seek their envy. I only sought to stand." "And now you lead," Mama Amina replied softly. As the sun rose behind them, the stall's new sign gleamed, "Aisha's Millet Delights." Just when Aisha thought her success had found its rhythm, a letter arrived. Its seal was embossed with the crest of the Grand Haven Hotel in Banora, one of the most prestigious establishments in the city. Her hands trembled as she broke the seal. "Dear Ms. Aisha, we have heard of your exceptional millet bread. We would like to place a recurring order and potentially discuss an exclusive partnership with you. Kindly meet us in Banora to discuss this opportunity." Her chest filled with disbelief and pride. She gathered her children and Mama Amina. "They want me in Banora," she whispered. "They want to partner with me." Mama Amina's eyes twinkled. "Your millet has traveled farther than you have." Jabber's face lit up. "Mama, can we come too? We've never seen the city." Aisha smiled, pulling her children close. "Yes, we will go. Together." When she arrived in Banora, the hotel's grandeur overwhelmed her, a world of chandeliers, marble floors, and polite, suit-wearing staff. But Aisha did not shrink. At the negotiation table, she faced the hotel managers with calm grace. "You want my bread," she said, "but I will not sell my recipe. I will supply you from my own ovens, on my own terms." The managers exchanged glances, surprised by her assertiveness. Her resolve impressed them. "We accept," they said. "But you'll need to increase production. Perhaps even open a factory." Aisha nodded slowly. "Then I will." And in that moment, she chose to step into a new chapter, one where she would no longer just bake, but build an empire. Of all the cities she could have chosen to expand, Aisha picked Zunda. It was not a coincidence. The same city that had swallowed her husband, that had tried to silence her story, would now bear her name on its streets. When Mama Amina heard of her decision, she raised an eyebrow. "You wish to return to the city that took Musa from you?" "I wish to return to the city," Aisha replied firmly, "and take back what is mine." She opened her first factory in the heart of Zunda, just blocks away from the skyscrapers Musa had once admired. Her signs shone boldly, "Aisha's Millet Delights, Zunda Branch." Her bread graced supermarket shelves, hotel buffets, and roadside cafes. The scent of her success wove through the streets, impossible to ignore. But what Aisha did not know was that the city's winds were carrying that scent to someone else, a man adrift, a man haunted by regret. In a small, dim apartment in Zunda, Musa's world had collapsed. Zara, the woman who had once promised him status and power, had grown tired of him. One evening, as he arrived at her penthouse, her assistant met him at the door. "Ms. Zara won't be seeing you anymore." "Why?" Musa's voice cracked. "She's moved on. You're no longer useful." His protests were met with a closed door. The apartments, the car, the tailored suits, all repossessed. The people who had once welcomed him to their gilded tables now turned away. Within weeks, Musa was evicted. His contacts disappeared. His debts piled up. He drifted through the streets of Zunda, a shadow of the man he once was. One day, starving and shivering, he stumbled past a market stall. The aroma hit him like a wave, warm millet, honey, the spices he knew too well. His stomach roared in agony. His feet moved on their own, following the scent. He stopped in front of a glowing sign, "Aisha's Millet Delights." His heart hammered in his chest. Could it be? He watched through the window as people lined up, praising the bread, praising the owner, a woman he had abandoned. He pressed his hand to the glass, shame clawing at him. "Musa!" He spun around. It was Fatima, an old friend from Maua. Her eyes widened in shock as she took in his tattered clothes and hollow eyes. "What happened to you?" she asked softly. I made mistakes." Fatima's gaze softened. "Aisha is here. This is her store." Musa's breath caught. "I can't face her," he whispered, turning to leave. But as he stepped away, his stomach betrayed him, groaning loudly. Fatima called to the cashier. "Wrap a loaf for him. On the house." She pressed the warm bread into Musa's hands. "Eat," she said gently. "And if you find the courage, she is not far." Musa wandered aimlessly through the sprawling streets, his once prized silver watch now traded for a few scraps of food. The grand offices he used to visit had long forgotten his name. Even the city's traffic seemed to mock him, cars speeding past, people brushing by as though he were invisible. His pride, which once soared with Zara's attention, now weighed him down like a stone. One evening, he passed by another Aisha's Millet Delight store. The scent of fresh millet bread wrapped him in painful memories, of Aisha's kitchen, of Safi's laughter, of Jabber's clumsy steps. He sat on a nearby bench, his hands trembling as he pulled out the worn, crumpled letter he had never sent. "Aisha, I have built a new life here. I've changed. I can't come back. I'm sorry." The words mocked him now. What life had he built? What did he truly have? His stomach growled fiercely, but his heart ached more. For days, he hovered near Aisha's stores, too ashamed to step inside, too desperate to walk away. One morning, Musa woke to the smell of something deeply familiar: millet cake. Not just any millet cake, Aisha's special honey-spiced blend. His legs carried him toward the source without thought. He followed the smell through crowded alleys until he reached the newest Millet Delights restaurant. Bright, modern, and busy. Inside, the staff served customers with cheerful efficiency. Aisha's name was everywhere, from the branded napkins to the large mural on the back wall, depicting a strong village woman baking by a clay oven. Musa stood outside, his heart pounding. He stepped closer and saw a figure supervising the counter, a tall, poised woman, her hair wrapped in a colorful scarf, her laughter echoing warmly as she greeted customers. It was her. Aisha. Older now. Stronger. More radiant than he remembered. His throat tightened, and his feet refused to move. He watched as she carefully instructed her young staff, her kindness as natural as breathing. Without realizing, he whispered, "She made it." A tear slipped down his cheek. But when Aisha turned toward the window, catching a glimpse of his gaunt frame, he panicked and fled into the busy street. Days passed, but Musa couldn't stay away. He kept returning, watching from the shadows as Aisha's empire thrived. Delivery trucks came and went. New branches opened. Customers lined the sidewalks. Aisha's success had bloomed far beyond Maua. She was no longer just a village woman selling bread. She was a legend. One afternoon, as Musa sat near one of her stores, Fatima found him again. "You've been watching her for days," she said, sitting beside him. "Why don't you go inside?" Musa lowered his gaze. "What would I say? After everything I've done? After what I left behind?" Fatima sighed. "Sometimes you don't need words. Sometimes you just need courage." He shook his head. "She has built a life without me. She's better without me." Fatima studied him. "Maybe. But people can build castles even while carrying broken stones." Fatima bought him a meal from Aisha's store, a warm millet cake, soft and fragrant. "Eat," she said, "even if you can't say thank you yet." Musa bit into the cake, and the familiar taste overwhelmed him. He remembered the first time Aisha had baked for him. He remembered their dreams. Tears streamed down his face as he savored each bite, regret and longing mixed with the sweet taste of home. Aisha's driver dropped her off at the Zunda factory one morning. She had a meeting with a supplier, but her mind was elsewhere. She had noticed a familiar figure lingering near her stores lately. Thin. Hunched. A shadow of the man he once was. She knew that walk. She knew those shoulders. It was Musa. She did not send anyone to chase him away. She did not call out to him. She simply watched. Her heart ached, not from bitterness, but from a deep, quiet understanding. Life had spun them in opposite directions. She had risen. He had fallen. One afternoon, she arranged for a staff member to pack an extra meal and quietly instructed the cashier, "If he comes again, give him this. No questions. No charge." When Musa returned that evening, he received the warm meal, his name written on the package. He stared at the neat handwriting, Aisha's handwriting. He clutched the meal to his chest, overwhelmed. He sat on a bench and ate slowly, the flavors unlocking a flood of memories. She had seen him. She had acknowledged him. And she had chosen grace over scorn. Musa never stepped inside the stores. He continued to watch from afar, quietly consuming the meals she left for him. Each bite was both comfort and punishment. He never tried to beg his way back into her life. Some stories, he realized, do not circle back to where they began. Some simply diverge, leaving each traveler to walk their own path. One afternoon, as Musa sat outside her flagship store, he noticed a young man approach, a boy wearing a delivery apron. "Musa?" the boy asked carefully. Musa looked up, startled. "I'm Jabir," the boy said softly. "Your son." Musa's eyes widened, shame crashing over him like a wave. I don't deserve." Jabir held up a hand. "Mama said you might be here. She wanted you to have this." He handed Musa a package, a small, round millet cake, shaped like the sun. Tucked beneath it was a folded note. Musa unfolded it, his hands trembling. Some chapters must remain unwritten. But that does not mean they go unread. I have found peace. I hope you find yours. Aisha. Tears fell freely as he clutched the note. His story with Aisha had ended long ago, but this was her final gift. Mercy. Understanding. Freedom. He bit into the millet cake, savoring it slowly, letting the sweet, familiar taste carry him into the quiet, unwritten chapter of his own redemption. The end.